okay if I stand? I'm taking care of it. No. I'm taking care of it with the people who know it. People, when we do the patriotic medley, I would really like you to stand. Okay? Not for the service things, because for the service ones, we're going to ask people who are veterans to stand. Okay? Only the veterans will stand. So I want to wait for everybody to get here because I really would like to go over
So you want
the
to
service
stand with
ones.
the whole thing?
So we're basically doing the patriotic medley, the summer scoop, right?
It's on here. It's on here. Tells us we're doing the patriotic medley. Okay, we're doing tribute to our armed forces. We're doing God Bless America.
Oh, it's all separate, I see.
Okay, it's all separate. And we will stand for God Bless America because I'm going to ask everybody to stand.
Okay.
Okay? I'm just trying to do things common sense wise. Hey, Millie. Yeah.
Okay, pal.
That's better. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, you've still got time to do that. It's not even 10:30. It's not even 10:30. You've got plenty of time. I've got to take all my stuff out of these plastic things. That's part of the issue.
Oh my God, that light's under my eye.
Well, it was worse.
Yeah, she made it all three of bad.
You don't have any little punches in here. Here's your speech, your poem.
I actually think I can.
So I'll buy some.
Okay, next time we'll put it to the program. Clean it down, taking the things out of the plastic.
I'm gonna see.
Watch the wires.
Thank you, right here. Okay, then if you want. Yeah, please.
You need another sparkler? When are they going?
No, is it good? Are you gonna go over there?
I'll give you a microphone. I might be picking up a
Oh, okay. I thought I'd go over there because I don't know where it is, you know. Oh, right.
Oh, it's down already?
Right down.
Oh, on the phone?
Yeah.
Oh, I know, I was busy getting upstairs.
Oh, that's okay. It's going to be at the town hall, I think. They didn't have enough.
Well, I was professional.
Right.
I noticed I love it.
Who, you leave over.
I know. I only that was 100 pounds ago too. I know. I'm gonna need a magnifying glass again. Oh. Now we'll leave this here because I will screw that up. Yeah. Actually, may have to throw it out. I left it in the I don't know what's happening. No, it's not that. The clutch and the reservoir is empty. Twice solar is all that. And when they had well, yeah, I did. Well, I had the clutch switch replaced. I said, for some reason,
No, I
I
have.
had to fill up the reservoir twice. So I put the bottle of breakthrough in the same saddlebag. I know.
Okay.
I can chase it.
Well, we can't do anything else.
Because
I'm sorry, we've done the best we can.
the Knights of Columbus are doing an essay contest.
Sorry, we've done the best we can on that.
Good.
Okay.
It's 2 good reasons of good leadership and she went off before the election. I said, man, there's nothing to do with the country. It's to do with leadership and church.
On the patriotic medley, for those of you who aren't here, we will be standing for that, okay?
And I won my
For all of it.
I won
Yeah,
my
it's
fourth
gonna
degree
be 4 minutes, Louise,
during
you'll
the
be fine.
masses with Sharon because I was doing the
I think
Hold on to somebody. Okay.
priest there became a fourth
Now,
member.
follow this,
I was gonna
okay?
escort
It says when we're
family
singing 3 different times. Thank you so much for being here today, people.
I figured this woman
This is
was
what I want to go over. I want to go over the service law,
just terrified of the story.
okay? So, let's find those, please.
I was trying to have a civilized conversation.
If, when we get, I'm going to invite the audience to stand, veterans only. Okay? So if you're a veteran, stand for your service. Lloyd, you have to stay standing because you're calling out. Okay? No, not for relatives or anything. Okay?
That's all I am too, just a lot of boy.
Well, well. I know. He has to be.
Anyone else?
Okay, we're not standing for the service song, but we're gonna rehearse it now, okay? Please watch me. Sometimes I play 2 chords, sometimes I play 3 chords. We all need to sing together on every song.
Putting this here.
So if you're not looking at me, you won't know where it's happening. We are standing when we do the patriotic medley. We are not standing when we're doing the service songs. Only the people who are veterans will stand. All right. So, Lloyd, you ready? Okay. stand up and say the United States.
United States,
It's gotta be a lot louder than that.
United States Air Force.
Louder. know, you're not looking at me. Please be loud enough that everybody can hear, okay? Because otherwise we look like a bunch of old people on the stage singing to us. There's an empty chair over there, good, because I'll go sit over there. What?
It's much louder when we stand up.
Yes, it is. It is. You're standing on the patriotic minute. Now that's a good point.
this on? Just going to give everybody about 5 minutes. If you would please take your seats. 5 minutes, please. Good morning, everybody. I hear you, Paul. Welcome to Foxborough's Veterans Day celebration. A couple of times this morning, I kind of thought about the fact that so many of the things we do as veterans are about remembrance and reflection, but today's our day. So welcome to Veterans Day in the town of Foxborough. We're excited to have you all with us today to celebrate your service and the service of your family members. Today is a very special day where we as a community have the opportunity to celebrate our community members' service. And by the way, thank you all for your service. Would you all please stand, remove your hats for the presentation of the colors. Please remain standing for the prayer and the national anthem. I'd like to invite Pastor Bill Dudley from the Union Church up for our opening prayer.
Good morning, Foxborough. Could we unite our hearts in a word of prayer? Heavenly Father, you have graced our nation among all the human family with the sacred gift of freedom and self-determination. That freedom has been guarded for over 200 years by those who have served our nation in the various branches of service. How grateful we are today for the gift you've given us and for the brave men and women who have given their lives for our freedom. For all who have served today, we ask your blessing, and on this ceremony today, as we honor them who are here, we ask your blessing. In your name, amen.
Now I'd like to introduce Mark Craig, Director of Health and Human Services, to the podium to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for the national anthem performed by Maya Kaiser from the Foxborough High School Choir.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
How beautiful was that? If you guys would all be seated, please. I'd like to invite Mr. Ed Butler. He is commander of American Legion Post 93 to read the official Veterans Day proclamation.
Thank you, Michelle. Good morning. Commonwealth of Massachusetts, a proclamation. Whereas since the Commonwealth's earliest days, thousands of men and women have served our country in defense of freedom and liberty. And whereas in November 11, 1918, after 4 years of conflict, the armistice was signed in the forest of Compiègne by the Allied nations and Germany, ending World War I, the war to end all wars. Whereas since that date, every November, people from around the nation have gathered to honor our veterans. And whereas in November 2024, the world will commemorate the 106th anniversary of the armistice that ended the fighting in World War I at 11 a.m., November 11th, 1918, the 11th hour on the 11th day of the 11th month. And whereas there are approximately 300,000 veterans living in Massachusetts, and whereas in recognition of the sacrifices made by those who have served our great nation, Massachusetts remains committed to supporting its veterans community through the HERO Act, honoring, empowering, and recognizing our service members and veterans. And whereas today we are reminded of the great sacrifices and contributions our veterans have made to our country. And whereas we honor and salute those who served our country throughout the generations with honor, patriotism, and courage. Whereas it is appropriate that all Massachusetts residents remember the bravery of those who served their country, so that their dedication and sacrifices serve as a reminder of the cost of our freedom. Now, therefore, I, Maura T. Healy, Governor of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, do proclaim November 11, 2024 to be Veterans Day, and urge all residents of the Commonwealth to take recognition of this event and participate fittingly in its observance. Given the Executive Chamber in Boston, the 11th day of November in the year 2024, and of the independence of the United States of America, the 248th, Governor Maura T. Healy, Kimberly Driscoll, Lieutenant Governor of the Commonwealth, and William Galvin, Secretary of Massachusetts. Thank you.
Oh, I'm messing everything up. Now, please enjoy a medley of patriotic songs from the Foxborough's own Serenading Seniors.
You are welcome to participate.
Majesty.
time here, okay? Technical difficulty. This land is your land. This land is my land. From California to the New York Islands, from the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. As I was walking that criminal highway, I saw above me that endless skyway. I saw below me that golden valley. This land was made for you and me. This land is your land. This land is my land. From California to the New York Islands, from redwood forests to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. You're a grand old flag, you're my flying flag, and forever peace and day. You're the emblem of the land I love, the home of the free and the brave. Every heart beats true from the red, white, and blue, where there's never a boast or brag. But should old acquaintance be forgot, keep your eye on the grand old flag. My eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord. He is trembling of the princes when the grapes and apples fall. He has loosed the banquet of his everlasting sword. His truth is marching on. Glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. His truth is marching on.
How great was that? I have the opportunity right now to introduce our town manager, Miss Paige Duncan, for her heartfelt thoughts on Veterans Day.
Thank you, serenading seniors. That was great. Stephanie and I were just talking about elementary school and all the lines that we're not supposed to say when you're singing those songs, like teachers hitting you with rulers and whatnot, but we won't go there. I'm sure you've had the fun times singing the songs the way we all remember them as well. So welcome, everyone. Thank you, Foxborough. Thank you mostly to our veterans for being here with us today. It's my privilege. Okay, vertically challenged. There we go. To gather with you and to be invited to speak. I did, I broke it. So Veterans Day is a time to reflect and to take a moment to pause and remember for those who have served, the families who have served, and all the sacrifices. And this community, small here in Foxborough and at large, we all owe so much to the veterans who have stood united for us, with us, and protected us as we've gone forward. Veterans embody a legacy that stretches back for generations. We hear stories of how, my dad, my uncle, my mother, they served and I served. And for that, we thank those families. We thank everybody for their commitment and their generosity for all of us who benefit from the service that you bring to us. This past year, we've seen sort of a renewed energy in our Veterans Department. I want to recognize Michelle and Lauren for their work. Yes. It really has been a pleasure to see the joy they bring to this community, and we really do think that the veterans banners, we've got to see some of them go up, and more will be going up, and we are thrilled and honored, and look for us to expand that program. It's been a great success. Also, thank you to the VSAC. They work behind the scenes, and I know they work closely with this team. So I don't want to take up too much time. It's really about all of you, and I want to hear more music, but I do want to just reflect on what it means to be in a free society and all that has gone into this, and to try not, myself, to take for granted all that has brought us to today and where we are today. And I think I'd just like to, as a community, reflect on that, and again, thank our veterans, thank our families for their service and for being with us today. Thank you all.
The next person that we have coming up is Stephanie McGowan. She is the chairperson for the Foxborough Select Board, and she's got some remarks on behalf of the board.
Okay, put the spectacles on here. Okay. Thank you, Michelle and Lauren. First of all, I am quite honored to be asked to speak today and to represent the Select Board. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and to all the veterans here this morning. It is a privilege to be joined by Mary Goff, Congressman Jake Auchincloss. As you may be aware, Congressman Auchincloss is a Marine combat veteran. We are very proud and pleased that Congressman Auchincloss represents the town of Foxborough. I certainly understand the sacrifice that each and every veteran has made in order to ensure that our country remains strong and free. It is never easy to step forward, swear an oath, and separate from family and friends while never knowing when and where you may be called upon to step in harm's way. We hear words used: gratitude, patriotism, respect, freedom, the ultimate sacrifice. Core values such as discipline, honor, resilience, selflessness. We all know of the physical and emotional scars that stay with our veterans after they have returned to civilian life. To all of you, I say thank you on behalf of a grateful town of Foxborough. Michelle has done a great job preparing for today, and I look forward to hearing what Mary Goff has to say. So I just wanted to share my two very quick personal stories about serving your country. My family was not a big military family. There were about 4 or 5 that enlisted and served. So, kind of a funny story. My dad, who's 90 years old, was diagnosed with prostate cancer back in February. So as we're starting treatment and appointments, they want to put him on a medicine that, I thought I wasn't hearing correctly, but they told us it costs $37,000 a month. And I was like, did you say 3,700? She said, no, 1,000. And so the next question was, well, how's that going to happen, right? And so she said, well, there's a couple of things. We can sit down, we can look at, what his income is. And she said, and she looked at my dad and she said, and by the way, are you a veteran? And my dad shook his head, yes. And when that happened, I almost fell over. And I thought to myself, is he that desperate to live and to have treatment that he's going to lie about being a veteran? So I looked at him and I said, Dad, you're not a veteran. And he said, yes, I am. And I looked at him and I said, what are you talking about? And he said, I served 5 years in the Navy. Now I'm almost 60 years old. It's the first I've heard of this, ever. And and of course that was before he and my mom were married, and I'm like, how could I not know that my dad served in the Navy? And so he said, I never left Boston. He said, then I went into the reserves for, I think he served 2 years in the reserves for 3 years. And he said, and of course, this woman is looking at him and she said, you probably qualify for services or there's different things. And he said, I don't need anything. He said, the real people, the real veterans. It broke my heart, because then I tried to explain to him, I said, Dad, the fact that you were willing, that you signed, you enlisted, and you were willing, that makes you a veteran, and never once in, at the time, 59 years, had I ever heard him ever speak about being a veteran. And I will tell you, I was very proud of, he just felt that the people who enlisted and had to leave their family and leave their home, those were the real veterans. And I said, Dad, guess what? You're a veteran too. And how proud now to know that my dad, I thought we had a sprinkle of couple of people, never ever knowing that my dad actually had enlisted in the Navy. So today, in celebration, the first time I can openly, I'm really openly saying, my dad, Holly Ostis, is a Navy veteran. And I'm proud of him, as I'm proud of every veteran in this room. You all deserve it. And the other quick little thing I just want to mention, Foxborough is a great community, and we can see by the banners, and we're making sure that we're giving preference to veterans, to name some of our new streets, and this is a community that supports its veterans. And the work that Michelle and Lauren are doing is just incredible. And so going back, so my daughter is now 22, and I'm trying to think of what year she did this. It was definitely elementary school. I want to guess maybe 2nd or 3rd grade. And I remember her asking, she said, we have a project to do. She said, who in our family has served for their country? And and I was thinking, I said, well, I have an uncle who just passed away in June, 94 years old. He served, he was in Germany for World War II, and I mentioned him, and I have a cousin my age who's a Marine. And so the project was for her to take this star and put their name, what branch they were in, and what years they served. So while I know today is about celebration and our surviving veterans, when Michelle asked me to speak, my uncle passed away in June. So we took his star that my daughter made, we still have them, and we put it in his casket with him. And my cousin Michael Cronin just passed away about a week and a half ago, but when Michelle asked me to speak, I thought to myself, how fun. I still have his star, and we'll be laying him to rest in a couple of weeks, and his star will go with him. But I know he's passed, and today is about the living and celebration, but for our family, this is celebration. This is, he served in the Marines for 4 years. Unfortunately, at 60 years old, diagnosed with cancer, too late, spread through his whole body. He lived 7 months, but he is our hero as well. And he did, and we knew he served. We knew he served. So anyhow, I just wanted to mention the two of them briefly. For our family, even though they've both recently passed, it is still celebration, and we're proud of what they did for their country. So with that being said, I will turn the podium over back to Michelle so she can, I believe, bring up Mary to speak for us. So anyhow, to all the veterans here, this is your day. Celebrate. We all have great gratitude for you all. Thank you.
I'm so excited to introduce our keynote speaker to you today, Miss Mary Goff, United States Army nurse. Mary was in nursing school when approached by a recruiter for a great opportunity in 1967. Mary left home for basic training to Fort Sam, Houston. She was commissioned as a second lieutenant in the Army Nurses Corps. After a short stateside assignment, Mary was in the thick of things, being deployed to Japan in one of only 2 receiving hospitals, tending to the most seriously wounded service members of Vietnam. Mary has served in many positions while nursing. She received an Army Commendation Medal for her work. Mary was assigned to duty stations in Ethiopia, Belgium, and Georgia. Mary resigned her commission as a captain, relocating to Rhode Island, where she married and started a family. Please welcome Miss Mary Goff.
I had a senior moment. I looked under my desk for what I was going to say, and then I realized it's already up here. First, I would like to say, what you spoke about your father is very, very common, not only among men that served, but women that served. I was never recognized when I came home in 1975, and I kind of filed all my memories and just thought, forgot about them. People would say, "What did you do in this service?" And I would say, "I was just a nurse." If I say that now, I catch hold of you know what. But I can tell you, any nurse of my generation, when asked that question, will say, "I was just a nurse." Thank you, Michelle. I first met Michelle in May of 2023, a few weeks before Memorial Day. Upriver from Battleship Cove on the Taunton River in Fall River is Memorial Park, the location of monuments to all wars, including a half-size permanent replica of the Wall. I often go there to sit and think about my 8 years in service, especially my 20 months in Japan, my first assignment overseas, at the 249th General Hospital, one of 2 1,000-bed hospitals in Japan, receiving seriously wounded from Vietnam. They would have their lives changed in so many ways. It was a perfect place for seagulls to perch and leave their calling cards. I called the Bristol County Vet Center. Michelle answered. We had never met before. I asked if anyone was responsible for cleaning the wall. She said, "Yes, Rolling Thunder does it." And I thought, good, because if they did, I'd be down there doing it. Our country had treated its heroes horribly when they returned, and at least their surviving buddies should be honored as well. Then Michelle said, "Yeah, Rolling Thunder does it. I'm starting to work on the program. Would you be a guest speaker that night?" I said, "Sure." I was sitting looking at the wall when I called her. My second year at Fort Bragg, 7 of the guys I knew well in my apartment complex were killed in Vietnam. I always knew when I'd go to the pool after work that someone else had been lost. I tried to call Michelle back several times to say, I forgot I had a previous commitment, but the line was either busy or went to voicemail. A couple passed me and asked if I was okay. I didn't realize tears were rolling down my cheeks. The guy asked if I lost somebody. I looked at him and said, "Who my age didn't?" I could hear the guys on the wall say, "Mary, do it. Do it for us. We know you can do it. We'll be right behind you." The weather was beautiful that night, sure different from what the guys coped with in Vietnam. I spoke, and toward the end I could feel tears forming. I said, "Thank you," and I turned to the wall and saluted. From the beginning to where the only one or two nurses killed in Vietnam is memorialized, Sharon Lane, a nurse who took a break between patient care to get a breath of fresh air and was killed when a salvo of rockets came in. As I was leaving, a middle-aged man stopped me and informed me it was inappropriate to salute if you're not in uniform. I said, "Thank you for coming." I said, "Where did you serve?" "Oh, I haven't served." He started to walk away. I was really irritated. What business did he have to tell a veteran anything? So I said, "Oh, sir," I said, "there's something I should have mentioned to you." He turned around and he said, "Oh, yes," and I just went like that. Behind me, two guys broke out in laughter. I turned around and they were Vietnam vets. Michelle, thank you for not picking up that phone. It was the beginning of an adventure I absolutely never thought I'd be on, speaking about my years in service. It's still not easy. My voice still quivers, but that's okay. My second year of school at Hammett Hospital in Erie, Pennsylvania, an Army recruiter came and dangled a carrot under our nose. If we signed up, we would receive $100 a month our last year. We would just have to serve 2 years. We could go any place we wanted. We all raised our hands for the question our parents knew would ask us. Would we go to, oh no, they don't send women to Vietnam. Liar, liar, pants are on fire. After graduation and passing state boards, we arrived for 6 weeks of training at Fort Sam, Texas. We were issued all the equipment, fatigues, combat boots, everything. They taught us what we needed to know, how to salute, everything. But absolutely not one thing that would prepare me or any other nurse for what we were stepping into. Not once in my entire service time did I open my duffel bag. But Phil, Don, and Kay and I had a hell of a lot of fun in basic training because we knew it would be the long time before we would be together again. After short stateside assignments, I got my orders to Japan. My friends went to Vietnam, and I was absolutely crestfallen. I was the one that wanted to go to Vietnam. I arrived at the 249th General Hospital, one of 2 1,000-bed hospitals in Japan, caring for the injured until they could safely, physically be evacuated to the States. Someone once said to me, "Weren't you homesick being away for 20 months?" And I said, I can't tell my family this, but no, I wasn't, because I had family with me. I had my military family. And coincidentally, a nurse who graduated 1 year before me from the same school of nursing was assigned to that hospital. Administration sure didn't know that because she was on the same ward that they assigned me. And there's nothing worse than 2 3-year grads taking care of a situation. My biggest, what shall I say, challenge in Japan, as horrible as the injuries were, I knew I could care for them. I was more concerned about invisible injuries. There were no psychologists, social workers, counselors, therapists, one priest for the whole hospital. But in our senior and nurses training, we spent 3 months in a psychiatric affiliation. Well, we didn't live in the affiliation, we lived on the base where the place was. We actually weren't in the hospital. The knowledge I gained there gave me a foundation to be able to hopefully talk to these guys who had life-changing injuries. I spent many hours in Japan going back off duty just to listen to the guys, maybe find something positive they could focus on. The donut dolly came once a week to read letters from home. This wasn't acceptable to me. Guys with eye patches should be able to read mail when it arrived. So I started to come in and read mail to the guys. The first letter I learned, one thing, scan the letter before you read it. The first letter told a guy she was terribly sorry. His best friend consoled her for the couple of weeks, and now she was pregnant. And at that point, I said, I'm still going to read the letters, but I'm going to read them first. 20 months in Japan were followed by work in administrative positions at Fort Bragg. Toward the end of the 2-year tour, I was sent to an advanced administrators conference at Walter Reed. They had big plans for me. It was time to update my dream sheet, where you indicated where you wanted to serve. I always wanted to go to a different country and experience different cultures. And truthfully, I needed to get away from anything that resembled the Army. My father had always told me the Army's never going to send you where you want to go. So I wrote on my dream sheet, I'd like to go to Heidelberg, Nuremberg, and one other place in Germany. And then in the bottom we can put comments. People might write, I like to go to yada yada because my family's close by. I simply wrote in very big letters, please do not send me to Ethiopia. A public nurse, Becky, laughed and did the same thing. 2 months later, I looked out the airplane window as I flew low toward the airport. A camel caravan carrying salt blocks from the Red Sea passed below. Women trudging along narrow dirt roads laden with huge water jugs. Children scampering around every place. I was always interested in other cultures, and that tour sure started that dream. The hospital was a converted Fiat garage with all services, including pediatrics and obstetrics, since most people brought their families. Peace Corps people also worked there. One of the Peace Corps wives had emergency surgery my second week there and was going to take the local bus back after she recovered, only to have to ride it back in 3 weeks. And I said, Ann, it's ridiculous. I said, I've got 3 bedrooms. I said, stay with me. That connection to that wife led to many hours off duty and excursions to villages with the Peace Corps, often sleeping overnight in tukul huts on animal skids on the floor, and eating from a large communal pot of wat and injera, a concoction that I had no idea what was in it. After a night's sleep, I moseyed to the mess hall and was introduced to everybody. One nurse needed absolutely no introduction. We laughed until there were tears running down our cheeks. It was Becky, the public health nurse, who also said she didn't want to go to Ethiopia. We had both outsmarted Uncle Sam. About a year later, the Navy took over the facility, and I was headed to Mons, Belgium, shape. My last tour at Fort Gordon, Georgia, I got married to an Army dentist that I met in Ethiopia. I resigned my commission and said goodbye to the Army, but the Army really didn't leave me. When I was asked what I did in the service, I would say I was just a nurse. The first year the Bristol 4th of July parade allowed Vietnam veterans to march in unit rather than straggle behind at the end, I stood and I saluted until the last one passed, with tears running down my cheeks. Finally, these heroes were being welcomed home. I went on the second all-female honor flight in the nation from Providence. At the World War II monument, everybody was congregating around Senator Doyle. There was a tall woman in uniform, and I was standing over by herself. It turned out to be the Surgeon General. We chatted for about 15 minutes about her service, her family. She was one of 7 adopted children, as well as many other things. I thanked her for her sacrifices she made until someone came over. But she looked at me and she said, "No, Mary, it's your generation I need to thank because you women led the way." Then she reached into her pocket and gave me her coin. I had to guard that safely on the bus going back. The day the pact was signed, Dora, a veteran friend in Rhode Island, asked me if I could relate a story at a press conference that she had to do the day the pact was signed. I had worked long-term care and took care of probably 7 guys with Agent Orange. One of them had an 18-year-old son, and the guy one night shared with me that his greatest hope was that he would live long enough to share a cold beer with his son on his 21st birthday. Of course, he knew he wasn't going to last that long. I'm not a beer drinker. I've never purchased only beer once. I purchased 2 beers, and I took them in the next time I had worked, and he and his son shared a cold beer. Nobody else knew. Someone said, you know, you could get terminated, and I said, you know, if they want to fire me for that, that's perfectly okay, because I will go to the public media and tell them what our country is still doing to its heroes. At Dora's urging, I joined the Providence Clementi Institute, a 6-credit course through Bard University that offers the experience of self-discovery through art, history, and shared military experiences. It Zoomed twice a week at absolutely no cost. I became reacquainted with the family that I had lost, the military family. They encouraged me to speak about my service in Women Warriors, Women Voices program at the Athenaeum. I never imagined I would be standing on a stage talking to anybody about my service. I have changed. Today, when asked what I did in the service, I no longer say, I was just a nurse. I say, I am a retired captain in the Army Nurse Corps. I am a veteran. My duty now is to share my story with the hope that other veterans, male and female, will use their voices and share their stories. It shouldn't be Kristen Hanna who wrote The Women, which has sold something like 2 million books, to capitalize on our adventures. The book, if you haven't read it, it's a fantastic book, and it's actually quite spot on, true-wise. Today, I talk about women. Guys, believe me, I will never forget what you went through. My 3 months of psychiatric affiliation gave me the insight and to be able to talk with a patient and maybe find just a gleam of hope. Today, we honor veterans from all wars. The last World War I veteran, Frank Buckland, died at the age of 110 in 2001. 4% of all veterans living today served in Korea. 120,000 served in World War II. Vietnam, 6.3 million. The Gulf War, almost 2 million. Iraq and Afghanistan, between 2 and 3 million. As of January of last year, 35,500 veterans in our country live in poverty, on the streets, with social isolation and lack of support, a 7.5 increase from the previous year. In Massachusetts, you already have told, you know how many vets are in Mass, but about 3% of the Massachusetts vets are homeless. 25,000 Massachusetts women have served. That number mind boggles me. Where are you ladies? You need to be up here talking with me in your own state. As a veteran who found her voice, I say loudly, we need your help. Established veterans organizations like the one I am honored to speak with today can only do so much. Their hands are often tied by those in government offices. Many who have never seen war or had a relative experience war. They don't always represent us in a way that we could benefit from. Be involved in your local organization. I know if you contact Michelle, she'll give you a suggestion or two. Volunteer at a food pantry or a soup kitchen. Attend their events. Buy a pack of cards at Walmart and sign them and deliver them to a veteran's home. Donate a coat or a blanket that sits in your closet unused. If you are a teacher, invite a veteran to your class to talk, or take a group on a field trip to a veteran's home and have them listen to the stories. I can tell you, they might not remember what you taught them in history class, but they'll remember those stories. Contact your local organizations and support them, like Rolling Thunder. Even the smallest act is appreciated. I worked night shift after I retired at a long-term care facility. There was a good 10 inches of snow on the ground, and it was still coming down. I stopped at Dunkin' Donuts for coffee and some donuts for my staff. There was a disheveled-looking man in the corner wearing a ratty jacket. It had patches on. I didn't have to ask him. I knew he had served in Vietnam. The clerk was kicking him out. He had no place to go and no place to stay warm. He had no more money. I asked the clerk, who said, "We don't let those kind just hang out overnight. It's not good for business." And I wanted to say, "I'll never buy a donut from your store again," but I didn't. I selected a dozen donuts and said, "I'd like a gift card." "How much, ma'am?" I had about $20 in bills, and I put it on the counter, and he started to ring up. He said, No. I said, I'm not done yet. I dug through the bottom of my purse and came up with enough change that there was a gift card for like $24.63. I said to the clerk, now he can stay warm all night long. He is a national hero who served in Vietnam. I am giving him my phone number, and if you dare give him any hassle, he's going to call me. Not only will I notify your boss, but the Providence Journal would love to do an article on Dunkin' Donuts not respecting those who served. It snowed until almost 6 when the plow cleared the lot, snowing us in with usually about a 3-foot pile of slushy frozen stuff. After report, I left and went to go to my car. Not one flake of snow on my car. The ice was scraped from the windows. No heap of snow to try to plow the Suburban through, but tucked it by my side window was a Dunkin' Donut cup with a card inside. On a scrap of paper was written, "Thank you, God bless you. It's nice to know that someone cares. Love, Joe, Vietnam vet, 1968 to 1970. Thank you.
After that, once again, we welcome the serenading seniors to our program for a tribute to the armed forces.
For all the veterans, we are going to sing the service songs, and Lloyd will introduce each one. As they are introduced, if you are a veteran of that service, would you please stand and be recognized?
The United States Air Force.
They didn't hear it, Lloyd.
The United States Army.
The Space Force. We're the mighty ones of God, guardians beyond the blue. We raise the golden flag, our fight is brave and true. Only reaching into space, there's no limit to our size. Sailing by on night and day, with the Space Force from on high. And we have a special tribute. This is a thank you for your service to every veteran in this auditorium. Would every veteran please stand? You were away from friends and
I'd like to call everybody's attention to the front row. I happen to have, sitting right here, Mr. and Mrs. Frank Barisi. Frank is a World War II veteran who has been a longtime Foxborough resident, and I'd just like to pay recognition to his service. And he's not going to get up unless I go down there, so I'm going down there. Teamwork makes the dream work. The next person that I have coming up has been just a godsend to me. Lauren Shurtleff, who is the assistant in the Veterans Department. I know a lot of you know her, and she really doesn't get recognition for the things she does for our department. And she is going to read a poem by Harriet Rounds called We.
We, you, and I, together we stand because we love our land. We, you, I, united from sea to sea. We, you, and I will be united for eternity. We, you, I will stand side by side. We, you, I will not run or hide. We, you, and I will be strong and brave. We, you, and I will not hide in a cave. We, you, and I are one. We're strong. We, you, and I will do our best to do right by this terrible wrong.
Our department would be nowhere without Lauren. I now have the honor and privilege of welcoming to the stage United States House of Representatives, Representative Jake Auchincloss.
I appreciate you being here as well. Good afternoon, Foxborough. Happy Veterans Day. I'm grateful and honored to be able to share it with you. 249 years ago, a motley band of militia and an assortment of trained troops and officers rallied only a few dozen miles from here to fight the British Army. They were overmatched and under-resourced, but the Continental Army fought hard and long, and it won. The United States was free and independent. And then the Continental Army, led by George Washington, did a remarkable thing, an unprecedented thing. It handed over power to the Continental Congress. It didn't have to, and some didn't want to. Americans disliked Congress then even more than they do now. But it did. General Washington took his sword into the halls of Congress and handed over his power to the President of the Continental Congress, and thus set the pattern for a quarter millennium of a remarkable institution, the United States Armed Forces. From the halls of Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli, from Antietam to Normandy, from Okinawa to Fallujah, officers and enlisted have fought battles and won wars and always upheld their oath to the Constitution. We today are grateful to our veterans not just for their courage in combat, but also for their honor in peace. As I appoint the next generation of officers to the service academies, one of the greatest honors I have as your representative, I am impressed and gratified by their proficiency and patriotism. An axis of autocrats from China to Russia to Iran, seeks to defeat the United States, and we will need strength of arms to secure peace. When I speak to these young men and women, I tell them to draw inspiration and example from the veterans we honor today, who fought fiercely for freedom and never forgot their loyalty to the Constitution and to this Republic of laws. Semper Fidelis, and happy Veterans Day.
You guys must all be getting hungry by now. Our final guest today is Miss Amy LaBrage. She is going to come up and talk about the Friends of Foxborough Veterans. She's going to speak about the upcoming Veterans Thanksgiving Meal Program. And we have a young lady, you're going to introduce her too, right?
Happy Veterans Day, everybody. Thanks for having me. Okay. And stay. Okay. Good morning. I just wanted to take an opportunity to thank Michelle and Lauren for a great job that you guys did today. I'd like to give them a round of applause. As Michelle said, my name is Amy, and I'm here representing the Friends of Foxborough Veterans. For those who are unfamiliar with this project, we're a group of Foxborough residents who come together to coordinate a thank you packages for our veterans in town. This year, on November 23rd, residents from our town will gather at 10 a.m. at the South Foxborough Community Center to assemble and deliver those packages to those who would like to receive one. I want to be really clear, it's not a handout, it's a thank you. It involves a lot of different people, a lot of different organizations that come together and want to just say thank you. So I want to make sure that you understand that that's what we, as a community, would like to do. So if you are a veteran in town and would like to be a recipient, please see me in the front entryway. I know I got a lot of you guys coming in, but any of you men and women that would like to receive a package, just come see me, and I'll confirm you to the list. And if you've received it in the past, it's still really important to check in with me, just to make sure all of your information is all accurate. Also, for those looking to help, we're still accepting donations to cover the costs, and are also looking for volunteers to deliver. It is such an honor to be able to offer this wonderful opportunity to thank the veterans of our community. So again, I'll be up in the lobby. If you have any questions, if you want to sign up, please let me know. Thank you very much. Next, we have Miss Jolie Craig, who would like to read a essay that she put together at the Ahern School. Thank you very much.
Imagine this. You're stationed in Germany during the Korean War. You think about your family that you have at home every day, hoping that they are doing well. That would be the perspective of my great-grandfather, John Harrington. John served in the Army branch of the military for 2 years. Veterans Day is important for our family because it is a day for remembering our relatives that served in the military and thinking about people who were lost during the wars. John Harrington was often called Jack around his siblings, friends, and wife. From his kids, he was known as Dad, and grandkids, Fuffa. He had 6 kids with Linda Robbins, named Teresa, James, Carolyn, John, Michael, and Daniel. He joined the Army in 1953. He was 18 at the time. Jack served in the Korean War. While stationed in Germany, he learned German so he'd be able to communicate with the locals. While Fuffa came home from the war in 1955, he went to college, and the Army paid for it because he had served with them for 2 years. Linda and Jack met in 1956. Linda's sister was married to Jack's brother, and they met at Linda's house because he came there with his brother. They got married in 1960 and had their first child, Teresa, in 1961. Veterans Day is important to me because I get to remember those who lost their lives and the ones that served for us in challenging times. While both of my grandfathers served in the Army, but did not die serving our country, we still take the day to commemorate the ones who fought and died for the advancement of this great nation. Even though the date of November 11th remained the public imagination as the date that marked the end of the conflict, the true date is June 28th, 1919. In conclusion, Veterans Day is important to remember the ones we lost and the ones that served. Veterans Day is important to me because I get to remember my great-grandfathers and how they helped our world get the way it is today. Thank you for your service.
What a wonderful job. We kind of lost Pastor Dudley. We were gonna, oh, here he comes. Okay. If you guys would mind please standing, Pastor Dudley will do the ending prayer. I thought we lost you. I don't want.
Veterans, thank you all today for your service. I do want to mention one thing about our guest of honor, Mr. Barisi. When Michelle and I visited him, he was very careful to say he never went overseas. He was ready to serve, he was being trained, but he was very humble about his service. So we thank him and Mrs. Barisi also for your service to our country. Heavenly Father, as we conclude this program today, we are grateful for all who have served, for all who have been ready, for all who have taken part in preparing to defend our liberty and our freedom. And we remember those who are still suffering from visible injuries, from non-visible injuries, and those, as our speaker mentioned, who are homeless. They have paid a great price for our freedom. Bless them in turn, we would pray. And we give you thanks for all we are blessed to enjoy. In your name, amen. Would you please remain standing for the serenading seniors to lead us in God Bless America.
Please remain standing as the Foxborough Fire Department retires the colors. I got a couple of thank yous to say, if you guys wouldn't mind sitting just for another minute. I know we're ready for lunch. First and foremost, thank you to all the veterans here today. Thank you for your sacrifice. Thank you for your service. Thank you to Paige, our town manager, and Stephanie and the entire select board. Thank you to Mark Craig for his support. Representative Auchincloss, thank you so much for taking time to be with us today. Thank you to the serenading seniors. Thank you to the young people who you'll see when you go into the cafeteria. They did posters and poems. Thank you to Pastor Dudley, the Foxborough Police, Foxborough Honored Guard, Foxborough High School students, the VFW Post 2626, American Legion 93, and all the town support services. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Please join us in the cafeteria for lunch.